off your camera. And so we'll just start off with acknowledging that our BCAF team is calling from the traditional territory of the Wasetnich and Lekwungen people. My name is Emily, and I am of Cree descent on my mom's side. I also have ties to Sartlip, Snuneymuxw, and Lyakson Nation. And on my dad's side, I am Ukrainian. And I have two other of my team members on this call, so I'll let them introduce themselves.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Laura Alfaro. I'm the research coordinator for gender-based violence here at the BC Association of Aboriginal Friendship Centers. As Emily said, we're calling in from Lekwungen territory. We're all in office this afternoon. And yes, we're so happy you could join us today. We're very excited about this next round of the Path Forward Community Fund.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Rebecca Ataya-Lang. I work with Emily and Laura over here at the BC Association of Aboriginal Friendship Centers. I'm the manager of Human Resources and Special Projects, and Special Projects includes our gender-based violence portfolio. And I am of Lebanese and English descent. I'm a first-generation settler Canadian here. Glad to have you all on the call.
All right, thank you, Rebecca and Laura. Now we're just gonna head in. I'm gonna share my screen and let me know if you can see everything correctly. Just gonna, right. Can everyone see that?
Yep, thanks, Emily.
All right. All right. So, yeah, as we said, this is the Path Forward Community Fund applicant information session. So we're going to dive in what is the Path Forward Community Fund. So the Path Forward Community Fund is one of the first grants of its kind that supports the self-determination and sustainability of Indigenous people by working directly in communities to prevent and end gender-based violence. So the Path Forward Fund is available to all those First Nations, Inuit, Métis, and non-status, and on and off reserve individuals, disabled community members, Indigenous men and boys, the LGBTQIA Two-Spirit Plus communities, elders and youth, and we've just now opened the application for really calling for applications for groups for Indigenous men and boys. So that's something new in our fourth round of funding we have now. As for the application process, we worked very hard throughout the first 4 rounds to create as low barrier and accessible application as possible. So I myself am the gender-based violence program coordinator. So we have worked on assisting in transcripting applications through phone calls to those who are unable to complete an application fully on their own. We've also offered, we had an option for video applications, but in the 4 rounds we had not received. So we most likely and have seen that we usually do things over the phone or via submittable PDF. But also we offer for myself to go over the application before it is submitted for any edits or if they're missing anything. And we have just now integrated the ability for projects to receive continuous funding by adding a reapplication process to our grant. And so our timeline this time is looking at we opened our applications on October 8th of this year, and on November 8th at 11:59 Pacific Standard Time, they will be closing. So that gives about 4 weeks for submissions. And the adjudication committee will gather and grade all of the applications in mid-November to early December, and the successful and unsuccessful applicants will be notified in early December, then giving the opportunity for all programs to start in early January of 2025. Those who can apply are applicants that are identified as Indigenous people or organizations, that being also Indigenous-led organizations. All applicants as grassroots communities, small groups, even just one person on their own identifying as First Nation, a band, or a community. The Treaty First Nation government, the Métis chartered communities and Métis organizations and service providers, and urban and off-reserve organizations and communities. Now, a lot of the time we get a lot of questions on what programs are eligible for funding. And the eligible programs are, this is kind of like a baseline of what the programs should or can reflect. So that would be capacity building, community engagement and facilitation, cultural support and healing in however that is reflected in your community, information sharing, or, just information groups, crisis response and planning, tools to navigate the justice system and public safety systems, and cultural safety and appropriate training. Now, this round of funding, we decided, well, with the adjudication committee, to extend the program length because we got a lot of feedback from our past participants that 12 months was quite a short amount of time to expend all of the funds. So we have two options now. So we're allowing up to 150,000 for programs that last from 12 to 18 months, and up to 200,000 for programs that are around 18 to 24 months long. And just a little bit of a kind of look over of what the program evaluation looks like. So all of our program evaluations are submitted through an online platform, though there is a availability for a paper copy if the online platform is not accessible to whoever is participating in our program. And we have a midpoint evaluation that is sent out halfway throughout the program duration. So for 18 months, it would be at the 9-month mark, and 24 months, the 12-month mark, and 12 months at the 6-month mark. And for those reapplying for funding this round, we will need a final evaluation of the past program to be finalized and received to be eligible to reapply for our funding. And a little bit on our adjudication committee. So we have around 10 Indigenous women of various backgrounds all throughout BC. We have some in remote communities and urban communities, Métis, First Nation, and they are the ones that make the decisions in the acceptance and rejection process. If a project is rejected, the adjudication committee does provide feedback as to why the program was rejected. So we work to really be inclusive of all those applying, and if someone is unable to be funded this round, we really work towards making it accessible to apply and possibly be funded for the next round. So, I know I kind of ran through that a little bit quickly, but if anybody has any questions, I think we can open that up for anyone interested. We will keep this part of the presentation recorded. Does anyone have any questions?
Emily, maybe I'll just note that I don't know if folks have had a chance to look at the application online yet, but as part of what Emily was saying around reducing barriers, that we did work pretty hard to make sure that we were only asking for information that we really needed to verify kind of the applications according to the funding that we've received from the government to disperse. That said, you know, really wanting, I think, a key message from our information sessions is if as you're filling those out you have any questions or you're unsure, to please reach out to Emily. If Emily can't advise, she'll loop Laura and I in. Emily's been on this file since its inception, so she knows a lot about it. But really, we don't want anyone to not apply for this funding because the application is presenting any challenges. We want this money to get out into communities to support anti-violence work. And so, yeah, as you're going through it, anytime you have questions, please feel free to reach out to the team. And it looks like Jenna has a question.
Yeah, I just have a quick question about start dates. So if it's a 24-month, does it have to be a January start date, or could we align it with our fiscal and do a 24 with April? Or does it have to, what's the ending date that it has to be done?
So usually how it's gone for the past previous 3 rounds is that the kind of day that the funding is received is the day the program would typically start. So let's say the fund is received on January 9th, then 24 months from then, which I'm trying to do math in my head really fast and I can't get the date, but it would be, you know, June of 2026 would be the end date for that program.
One of the things we assume is that between the time that you're approved for the funding and receive the funds, that you'll need some startup time to get going. So when we say the program needs to start, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have like community members in a program doing a thing 2 days after you get the funding. It's just that's when the clock sort of starts from our reporting time frame. And again, like we'd look to hearing from you if you knew you were going to start sort of on April 1st with your programs, then to let us know what that time frame would look like. So a bit of a yes and answer. So
Yes, Susan? Oh, you're muted. It's okay.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Very excited about this new round of funding. I'm just wondering, in terms of reapplications versus a new application, what are you looking for in a reapplication for a project that was previously funded? And what was your basis to decide to accept reapplications this year?
So when we talked with our adjudication committee, what we kind of came to the conclusion was if all the evaluations showed in the data recording from community members or that it made, you know, a positive impact, it's continuing to make a positive impact. However, without reoccurring funding, this important program will end. So we're trying to give as much sustainability to these positive programs that actually make a difference as possible. So really, it is in all of the recording and the application. And we made it so that you do not have to fill out a brand new application with the same program. So we have all of the past applications on file. We'll just attach that just to when submitting a reapplication, it just needs to have the basic information of what organization is applying, etc.
Okay, great. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
I add a piece, Emily, just to the second part of Susan's question around why we made the decision to accept kind of reapplicants. When this fund was first announced, we thought it would just be a one-off, like $5 million, and that was it. We've subsequently kind of, it's been built into subsequent provincial budgets and then into our budgets. So seeing that was sort of the trend, we felt a bit more comfortable expanding the scope. To be able to know that we kind of had that funding. And it ties in, I think, with the broader advocacy that's happening around funding and the service delivery frameworks for Indigenous-led anti-violence and gender-based violence work as well. And so we're sort of trying to lead that advocacy by doing what it is we are asking government to do, which is, to make this annualized funding, that it shouldn't be a granting process. The non-Indigenous gender-based violence programming isn't operated on a granting process. And so trying to sort of lean into, I think, the future we want to see for funding for these vital services as well, and kind of moving away from them. Grants are sort of nice for extra things in community. This isn't an extra. This is people's safety, and so that's part of that reasoning as well. So
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Anybody else have any other questions? Or if you do have any questions that you don't feel comfortable asking over our meeting, feel free to contact me via email or phone call.
you might be giving everybody the gift of 40 minutes in their calendar, Emily, where everybody thinks they're in a meeting. So
Right? Okay. Well, yes. Thank you for everyone for joining us today, and hopefully it was informative. And like I said, if you have any further questions or concerns or need any assistance, feel free to contact me. All my contact information is on the BCAF Path Forward webpage.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
thanks,
you.
everyone.
Thanks so much.